And welcome everyone to the Daily Space Weather. Uh-oh, I've vanished. I'm your guest and your host, Dan, aka smAsho. First thing we're looking at here is the sun in 304 angstroms. We are in a state of geomagnetic unrest for the last 9 hours here at planet Earth. We'll be talking about all kinds of various things. Check out the large filaments in the northeast. No coronal mass ejections headed this way. Just a coronal mass ejection currently still striking the planet for the past, really about the past 24 hours or so. Or like, I guess, about 27 hours maybe, something like that. And again, we're in geomagnetic unrest for the last 9 hours. Let's take a look at helioviewer.org. Here are the solar fields. There's one area of a little bit of magnetic organization going on in the southeast. And by the way, pardon the audio if the audio is messed up today. I'm trying to conserve my voice. Anyway, there's 171 angstroms. Here's 304 angstroms. And you can see those northeasterly filaments collapse, but the southeasterly filament is still up there. And some activity in the southwest as well, filamentarily speaking. Filamentarily speaking. Yeah, that's a thing. So here's the real-time solar wind, and so we've got some shifting phi angle stuff happening here for the past 9 hours. And just a small increase in the solar wind speed here. So this is chiefly a magnetic situation going on right now, actually, as we don't really see an elevated solar wind density or speed. So the geomagnetic unrest is magnetically induced. So the BT-BZ is at 7 for the BT, total field, and the Z is at -1, indicating a slight influence of the south solar polar field. And there's that geomagnetic unrest for the past 9 hours. I don't think we're going to make a Smash Lights section today, at least not a separate video. So for all you Smash Light section viewers, sorry, you're going to have to watch the whole video or fast forward. Looking at the aurora forecasts now to see if there are any significant auroras being generated. Not really. So yeah, not a lot of protons coming in there, but geomagnetic unrest conditions regardless. There we got some significant auroras in the south. And there's probably nobody around Antarctica in winter hanging out in the ocean looking at auroras. Although if you are, please leave us a comment. Next, let me vanish. And here's what's going on the geospace magnetosphere movie. Now, if you look at the still image of the density, there's really not a lot going on there. So we have this odd, prevalent magnetohydrodynamic pressure in the magnetotail at the beginning. So this is a unique situation here. And you can see right there, there's not a lot of pressure on the bow shock. And for your new viewers out there, the sun is in this direction. I'll let that play through again, since we are in a state of geomagnetic unrest. Let's actually get to the end of the video and then play the ground magnetic perturbations and get through the daily space weather and not make it take all day. Here are the global perturbations, and they're pretty major here. Major magnetic anomalies going on over northeastern Canada, all over the Oceania region there, the Far East. You can see this big magnetic blob right here. And large perturbations in the south geomagnetic pole. So this is an interesting scenario here, as again, this is not solar wind induced. This is a purely magnetic disturbance. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data on that. It just refuses to play the whole video smoothly without refreshing. So there you go. Thanks. And welcome to another Smash Light section, where I talk about our Amazon affiliate coming. Hey, Smash staff, we really need those links. By the way, we are streaming live to Twitch, twitch.tv/smashamash. Please check us out on YouTube if you're watching on BitChute, as we have exclusive content on all different social media sites. And if you're on YouTube, check us out on BitChute. Also consider becoming a patron, if you wouldn't mind, as we need a lot more funding to accomplish our goals this year. A lot more. And to ensure that the videos remain free and publicly visible, please consider and or continue supporting the channel if you're already a patron. And thanks to our existing patrons, the true source of funding for the content, as we make about 2 cents per hour based on Google Junkware AdSense payouts. Why? Because we're buried in search. We're also on Subscribestar, so visit the other links below the video. And nope, we ain't covering that. We ain't covering that. Here's what I'm going to talk about. John Dunsworth of Trailer Park Boys fame. Rest in peace, John Dunsworth. Shout out to Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles. And yeah, so basically what I'm saying is no to this mainstream news source. No to you. No to this news source. How about a heaping helping of no to this news source? I like when news sources cite
science,
and they don't know the first thing about
science,
but they just say, according to science, we're trusting science instead of hysteria. Damn, Mythbusters star Grant Imahara dies at 49. What is up with that? Not cool. Not cool. Now, I was looking at this pathetic website, and what a surprise, as it's a government website. And I was trying to find a thing that I easily found yesterday on the mobile device. But like most mobile and desktop versions of websites, the cdc.gov site sucks. It doesn't just suck, it sucks. And I couldn't even find the thing that I was looking at yesterday. This is a bunch of nonsense on this website. If you go read this. Go read the stuff about COVID on this. It is absolutely pathetic. And am I surprised? No. It's because it's the government wasting your tax dollars once again. So here's what I was looking for. There's a graphic on there, which I took a screenshot of yesterday because it's so absolutely idiotic. Now the CDC's guideline is your cloth face covering may protect them, and their cloth face covering may protect you, which means I may tell you to go fuck yourself. With your fucking stupid goddamn masks, you can shove them up your stupid goddamn asses. They're totally ineffective at doing anything besides pissing me off. All right, now that I got that out of the way, let's talk about pushing your body way beyond the extreme. Now, why is this relevant? Well, this site right here is the site of Tony Simpson's death, a horrifying situation from cycling, where a guy called Tony Simpson rode himself to death. So the British, allow me to vanish, I believe he's British. He's from Haswell, County Durham, England. And it was on July 13th, I believe. And his death's attributed to amphetamines and alcohol use in the Tour de France. So that horrifying scene we just showed you there on Mont Ventoux was the site of his death. And the point is, folks, get enough rest. Now, part of the reason that we have that Amazon affiliate coming is because we're going to recommend certain products for you to use regularly, as we do. And for instance, one of the things that certainly most likely contributed to his death was a depletion of electrolytes. So you generally won't have a heart attack and die in this sort of a fashion if you have enough calcium and potassium. And Why am I talking about this? Well, because it relates to real science. And part of the reason why cyclists don't seem to really be getting very many, any sort of like severe case. Now, I haven't heard of any cyclists actually sick as a result of the COVID. So let's talk about bats. So the reason why bats seem to be extremely, think about it. Think about how similar cyclists and bats are, okay? It appears that there are some various reasons why bats seem to be very resistant to viruses, and part of the reason is because of the way they go into an absolutely frenetic state when they're flying. Of course, a bat's resting heart rate is typically around 180 beats per minute, which is typically the max heart rate of many cyclists, right? And so when they're flying, their heart rate probably goes up to 360 or something like that. Six beats per second. That's part of it, and they need to be very resilient in order to be able to deal with those extreme changes in metabolic state. But they're also extremely social animals. They hang in caves together in giant colonies, and they're constantly coughing on each other. Sound familiar? You ever see a bike race? So anyway, the point is, don't push yourself beyond your limits. However, those of us who do push ourselves beyond our limits are a little bit better at understanding the actual science. So bats also live very, very long for being such small size animals. Another very interesting little feature there associated with bats. And so there are a lot of features. So also their inflammatory response is a little bit more refined. And of course, once again, that's something that cyclists are constantly concerned with because, well, let's just put it this way. Part of the reason why we don't take NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as aspirin and ibuprofen and naproxen and opioids and all of that sort of stuff, is because the inflammatory response is required to build muscle, folks. So this is why when you go for a run, you should not push yourself to the point where you have pain, because you shouldn't be encouraged to be taking NSAIDs because they're bad for you, especially if you're athletic. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this, and the longevity of bats is part of the reason why they're able to survive it as well. Humans have two possible strategies if we want to prevent inflammation, live longer, and avoid the deadly effects of diseases like COVID-19. One would be to not be exposed to any viruses, but since that's not practical, the second would be to regulate our immune system more like a bat. If you want to read the article, it's on SciTech Daily. Bats offer clues to treating COVID-19. It's called real science. Lockdowns and masks are real nonsense. So anyway, congratulations on surviving a global pandemic so far. Are you scared? Were you spooked? Do you think I was scared and spooked? Well, head to smashamash.com/forum. Go to the free-for-all forum. By the way, the whole forum's free. You do have to create a login in order to leave a comment, but otherwise it's entirely free, and there's no cost to creating a login in any case. So anyway, congratulations, your ancestors survived much worse. Look for this shirt coming soon. The design is complete. There you see it. Smasher price, my first pandemic. What a pathetic and infantile response the entire human race has had, where instead of simply focusing on respiratory health and giving people pointers on how to make themselves healthier all the time, we've got people who know less about science than one flake of Bernie Sanders' dander making sweeping decisions for entire states and countries. So congrats on surviving Fisher-Price, my first pandemic, Smasher-Price, my first pandemic. And please leave a comment if you've survived 2 pandemics because you're over 102 years of age. And here ends today's Smash Lights section. Let's talk about the 10.7 centimeter radio flux, which is at 68. And check out these images of Comet Neowise. Absolutely fantastic. This is the ion tail. And you notice all kinds of little striations in that. That's due to different striations in the solar wind. So this is the real this is the regular debris tail, and this is the ionic tail. Probably an indication why it's coming out at an angle. This was not understood back in the days of Comet Hyakutake and Comet Hale-Bopp, if you remember, and now it's a little better understood. We implore you, NOAA, to please fix the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard and put the radio flux back on there, as it's been not there, and now not there again. X-ray flux has seen some anomalies. Check out the GOES 16 long. It's all over the place. And I'm back. And it keeps going out, folks. I think I need more rest. All right, so what else do we have to look at here? The proton flux, we didn't see any significant movement in that, despite that small coronal mass ejection, which I think may be already mopped up. Here's the GOES magnetometer, and you can see it is all over the place. This weak North Pole magnetism here, it's looking pretty weird, actually. And the North Solar Pole is looking a little weak as well. Now, we are currently in the North Pole current sheet. You can see the South Pole current sheet over there in red, approaching stereo A. And by the way, this is stereo A over here, and this is stereo B over here. And we'll remain in the North Pole current sheet, at least for the next 24 hours, I would say. Here's a line of sight field plot. B field is looking pretty symmetrical. Nothing to write home about there. Here's where stuff is in the solar system during this massive planetary pileup. There's where things will be in a week. I'm looking forward to new moon, as I'll be done facing the government in court and hopefully winning my appeal against the scum-sucking code enforcement officer who told us to cut down 50 feet of a hedge arbitrarily because he's an idiot and he doesn't know the difference between a hedge and weeds. Here's what's going on above my head. And again, I'm running very late, so I really have to get moving with this thing here because I talked for a long time about bats. And shout out to Bruce. If you're up before dawn, you should see quite an array of objects. Jupiter, Saturn, Mars, the Moon, Venus, and Mercury, all before dawn. Again, check us out at smashamash.com/forum. We've got a new section about movie recommendations. Please leave your movie recommendations, as there are only two there, Kelly's Heroes and Little Miss Sunshine, which we haven't even watched yet. Shout out to Smash staff. Find it, we'll watch it. There's the electron flux over the past year. By the way, this is recently updated here on solon.info. Check it out. The solar polar fields data there and so on. The radio flux updated just yesterday, actually. There's the latest data on that. And so, yeah, looking at a weak field right now, that's for sure. There's the GOES electron flux, a 3-day electron flux. And it's actually surprisingly low, and, well, since there's still some magnetic anomaly going on here, we don't expect to see this to hit warning levels today unless that suddenly subsides and we come out of geomagnetic unrest. Here's the total air column here, and we're looking at the total electron content of said air column, and we see some anomalies there by Antarctica once again, as well as over the Caribbean and Central America. So there's this extreme anomaly here. You can see an extreme electron event right there. That one came in at about 20 UT20, Universal Time, 8 p.m. Universal Time is about when that happened. Next, looking at just the ionosphere, here's 6 hours of data on that. Here's the latest image. Here's me hearing weird noises and wondering what's going on in the next room. There's the latest image. It's 9:30. Do you know where your ions are? Well, we've got a pretty anomalous ionosphere here. It's quite charged up on the nighttime side. Next earthquakes, 24 hours of them. So here's some deep quakes right away at the bottom of the list. such as this 4.6 in Indonesia, followed by this 4.3 at Philippines just about an hour later. A little over an hour later there. Deep one in the Mariana Islands, near the deepest ocean trench in the world. So we saw a couple of 5+ magnitudes here. Here's a 4.6 at 106 kilometers depth. Another deep quake at the Mariana Islands. I would say if you've been living in an earthquake-prone zone, have a plan. Especially if you're seeing deep earthquakes, they could be foreshocks to larger events at the surface. Here's a 5.2 between the boundary between the South Pacific and Antarctican plates. Kind of an odd spot for a quake. And there ends that list. Next, volcanoes. We see Pacaya is producing some interesting incandescent lava outflows. Karimsky also erupting, flight level 10,000 there. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 19,000 there. No big plume over Pacaya, apparently. Sangay, volcanic ash not detected there. Please don't build a tent on the lower slopes of Sangay. It could end badly. Sabancaya is exploding, flight level 22,000 there, and Nevados de Chilean producing some short, viscous lava flows as well. How about them apples? Next, looking at nullschool.net here to check out the jet streams. And allow me to get back off the screen. Here are the jets of the Western world, and they are all over the place, folks. We've got an anticyclone right at the North Geographic Pole. Let's call this the Michael Mann. The Michael Mann anticyclone, folks. Behold. Behold the glory of the Michael Mann anticyclone. Think about it. Has he paid off Tim Ball yet? Now, let's talk about how hot it is. It's so hot that we've seen 2 standard deviations above normal snowfall in the Northern Hemisphere for 3 winters in a row. Oh, but maybe it's hot down south, folks. Maybe it's hot there. Maybe that's what the carbon dioxide's doing to make the planet so hot. Let's look. Oh, they've got a pretty large amount of snow this year. A lot larger than last year, shown in green. This year shown in red. And let's move on to look at pressure maps here at windy.com, who, by the way, has a great mobile app. I think I recommended it to Tony Heller yesterday, who nearly got struck by lightning while riding his bike. Tony, do better with your weather forecasting, dude. We can't lose another genius like you, because that would be bad. Anyway, we've put on the isobars now. We're letting the forecast here advance into the GFS forecast. About 24 hours. Check out that stagnant low off the coast of Kimberley right here. Kimberley is right here. And then check out that coastal low there. It's just hanging out and acting very anomalously. Anyway, here's where things will be at 12 noon tomorrow, my time. And please leave a comment if you're my tying. Has the government been driving you to want to drink? Please give me back control of my computer, windy.com. Again, they have a great mobile app. I don't know about the desktop one. And here's lightningmaps.org, otherwise known as blitzortung.org. It's a great thing. And hey, Tony, maybe check this one out too. Tony Heller. Yes, do not get struck by lightning. It's generally fatal. Hey, Wisconsin. Hey, Chippewa Falls, there's thunder rolling in. Anyway, there's where the lightning strikes are happening worldwide. Here's what's going on in water vapor in terms of Europe and Africa. Some majorly dry air there, both north and south of the equator. Here's water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. And for you new viewers, low pressure systems rotate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere, but in the southern hemisphere they rotate clockwise. So there you go. And yes, water does swirl the other way down the drain. Here's what's going on In the Americas, I'm not going to animate it. Here's the cloud layer in the U.S. Here's water vapor for the U.S. We'll animate this one, as I believe we have primarily American viewers, correct? I could be wrong, I don't know. I definitely don't trust YouTube's numbers because they have no idea what they're talking about. Anyway, there's the U.S. water vapor map. Here's a U.S. Doppler radar. Very powerful series of storms there over Kansas. Let's hope nobody is ending up in Oz. Surprised there's not more lightning associated with that. Let's go back. It's a very, very concentrated storm. And if you're in any of these surrounding towns, go out and look. You may see sprites generated by this one. It's the exact kind of storm that you'd expect. Hey, Wichita, go look to the northwest. Anyway, again, there's the U.S. Doppler radar map. I'll leave that on for a minute. Less than a minute. I'm not that patient. Thanks, SMASH team, for your patience. Thanks for flying American SMASHways. Remember to keep your head and arms inside the SMASH plane at all times while we show the bonus features, which are the intensitygram to show 0 sunspots, colorized magnetogram. There is one area of some magnetic complexity going on there, as we stated earlier, but again, no sunspots. Let's close things out with a 94 angstroms 48-hour video from the SDO and call it a day. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, stare at the sun, don't drink it. If you do, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance.